Okay, so now that we're going to make a quick family meal, we're going to make a pasta primavera. It's going to be gluten-free, really simple, really fast to throw together. All right, I'm going to chop up some garlic. Easiest way to get some garlic, once it's out of the skin, just put the knife on top, press it. All right, that's most of the chopping right there. And then all you have to do is just run through it once, and you have minced garlic. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add some garlic and onion to the pan. Okay, a little rustic cut. Actually, before we do that, let's add a little bit of olive oil. Just a touch, about 2 tablespoons. Add a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to add some onions and garlic to a hot pan. All right. Love the smell of onions and garlic. All right, and while that's cooking with the onions and garlic, I have some diced extra firm tofu, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and add the tofu in there. And with the tofu, we have some chanterelle mushrooms. Okay, so those take the longest to cook, and the tofu is actually going to crisp up a little bit in that oil. So the mushrooms are going to absorb the flavors. Okay, let's add a little bit of sea salt in the beginning, some black pepper with my obnoxiously large pepper grinder. That's good. So let's cook that a little bit, get that tofu kind of nice and firm, give some extra protein in this dish. And the chanterelle mushrooms are absolutely beautiful. You can substitute any mushrooms for these, any wild mushrooms, portobellas, or shiitakes I tend not to use in more Italian-focused dishes. I would use shiitakes in more Asian-focused dishes. If I was going to add soy sauce and ginger, and so we're going to cook that up. Let the mushrooms almost cook all the way through. Okay, now pasta is one of those dishes that a lot of people miss when you go gluten-free, and you really don't have to miss it. You know, at Whole Foods, there's so many varieties of gluten-free options. And Tinkyata, which is one of my favorite gluten-free companies for pasta, it's a whole grain brown rice. Okay, and what's nice about it is a lot of gluten-free pastas, they get real mushy and really, really heavy. But Tinkyata, because it's brown rice and the way they process it is, it just holds its shape real well, and it doesn't break down like other gluten-free pastas. So highly recommend their variations out and varieties out there. So these mushrooms are cooking up. The tofu's getting a little browned up, and the onions are translucent. Now it's time for any other green vegetable you have. I'm going to add some snow peas in there. This is a good time to add a little bit of kale in there if this is going for your kids or yourself, just to sneak in the greens. Okay. It looks beautiful as is right there. Now at this point, I'm going to add some chili flake. I like a little spice in there. And then I'm going to add some crushed tomatoes. Now typically I don't use a lot of canned tomatoes. I prefer a fresh tomato, but San Marzano is one of my favorite tomatoes canned. And the nice reason why they're so delicious is it really retains the sweetness of the tomatoes because they pick them fresh and then they can them. So I'm going to go ahead and add some crushed tomatoes in there. Let that cook down. Starting to look good. Lower that heat a little bit. Make sure you don't burn the sauce. One thing my grandma would kill me for. If you're going to add any kind of fresh herbs, I tend to add the herbs at the very end because I really want to retain the freshness and add those extra bursts of flavors in there as well. Let's add a little bit more black pepper. Just a really simple primavera. You can add any vegetables in here. Broccoli is really nice in here. Roasted cauliflower is really nice in here. Okay, that looks about done so quick. The longest time is really just cooking the onions and the tofu and browning the tofu. Then you just toss the sauce in, the crushed tomatoes, and it's ready to go. So I have some al dente pasta. Al dente means it's not fully cooked, okay? So it still has a little bit of texture in there because I'm going to add this, and it's going to cook in that sauce a little bit as well. Okay, so this is that brown rice pasta, totally gluten-free. Okay, and while that's cooking, I'm just going to toss it with the sauce. So delicious. We're going to go ahead now and add some fresh herbs at this point. I have some parsley, I have some sage. Okay, I'm just gonna coarsely chop. I like the burst of flavor in there. Really does so much to the dish when you add the herbs at the end. Okay, some oregano, some sage. Gonna turn that off, and I'm just gonna toss in all of those herbs. Sorry, I'm a messy cook. I just throw everything in the pan, and and just hope for the best. Once you have these fresh ingredients, you really can't go wrong. Okay, so there you have, grab a family bowl, and this is ready to be served. You have a gluten-free pasta primavera with some chanterelle mushrooms. You have the freshness of that tofu and those snap peas. Absolutely beautiful. And it's a great, great family meal that anybody will love.